Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the most nostalgic touches to the Pokemon franchise. Not to mention that fire types are my favorite type in the game, so that sparks the question, how will fire types hold up in a Hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Heart Gold? Looking at our roster, we have a pretty good selection, but water will definitely be our greatest endeavor considering some of them have a 4x weakness to it. So let's do it. Let's see if we can beat a Pokemon Heart Gold fire type Hardcore Nuzlocke. Let's get it. We start our journey in New Bark Town, and you already know the vibes. We get our starter from Professor Elm, a Cyndaquil. We name him Shinra, and now the run may commence. We then make it to Violet City where we can talk to our guy Primo. Basically, you can tell him a weird series of words and punchlines, and then in the end, he will give you a random egg. But fortunately, the egg that we got is the one that we needed, our second encounter, a Slugma. And after running around like an absolute maniac, we can finally hatch him, and wow, look at that majestic creature. This will now bring us to our first actual challenge of the run, Falkner and his flying types. He whips out Pidgey as I send out Shinra, and after 2 embers, we are able to knock that thing out. Now here comes the Pidgeotto, and I really underestimated this thing. I throw by using Smokescreen, and it got blocked by Kenai, its ability, I forgot it had that, my bad fellas, as it smashes me to a quarter with a few gusts. I at least lowered its defense enough, so I pivot into Arthur that just needs to tank a gust. It then outspeeds and knocks me to below half with a tackle as we nuke that thing to half with a rock throw. It starts spamming Roost, but fortunately we get a crit on our next rock throw to bring it back down to half. It then brings me down to 4 HP with tackle as we miss rock throw. This is very, very bad. I then just switch into Shinra, and after getting hit to 2 HP with tackle, I use quick attack, and it just falls short of the KO. Which means, fellas, that was attempt 1, and it was officially cooked, but let's get it in attempt 2. Alright, fellas, it's time for round 2, and I am not playing around this time. I switch it up by going for Slugma off the rip so we can KO that Pidgey with 1 rock throw. He now sends in his biggest threat, I can't believe I just said that, his Pidgeotto. He goes for tackle as I set up with Yawn, and then on the next turn he knocks me to half with Gust as I do about a third with rock throw. Fortunately, Pidgeotto falls asleep so we can get off a free rock throw to bring it to below half. It of course gets a second turn wake up, and it roosts its health close to full as we use rock throw, and it does nothing. Pidgeotto then goes for another tackle, bringing me to 11 HP as I set up with another Yawn. At this point, Iris is cooked, so I send in Blaze as Pidgeotto just uses Roost. This battle would have drug on for a long time if we didn't get a critical hit Ember and Pidgeotto stays asleep. That's right, fellas, we get our first Yes Lord moment as Pidgeotto stays asleep for another turn so we can take home the win with 1 more Ember. After that, we make it to Azalea City, and this grunt proceeds to tell me that he has never been attacked by an old man before. Okay, word. Yo man, they're cutting up some Slowpoke tails and some other gruesome shit in the wells. After snitching on the whole operation, we make it to Proton, but we easily handle his team considering that our team overlevels his. This now brings us to a very difficult battle, Bugsy and his bug types. He of course leads with his Ace Scyther as I lead with Iris. He ends up going for a focus energy, boosting his crit ratio as I set up with a Yawn. He then goes for a quick attack, but no crit as we proceed to miss a rock throw. Scyther stays asleep though, so we can hit it to above half thanks to its citrus berry. It then wakes up and then goes for a quick attack, and Scyther gets a lucky crit, taking out one of my best team members. We at least have no trouble with the rest of the battle, and we get Blaze out there to finish it up with a couple of more embers. That is truly terrible. We lost Slugma this early in the run considering that we needed her for Lance, and at this point I really considered restarting the run. But with a new badge in hand and a few more encounters on the way, I knew I had to keep it pushing. We at least get our first Pokewalker encounter, a Ponyta. Let's get it. After getting our encounter, I totally forgot that we had a battle with Soul, but honestly, it was a cakewalk since our levels just don't compare. He just can't catch a break. We then make it to Goldenrod City, and I think it's time for another Pokewalker encounter. If we traverse through the sightseeing route, that will net us none other than a Torchic. And oh my god, look at that little guy! Aww. Now what's devious about this one is he has an adamant nature that is about to boost his attack stat sky high. This is great for what we have coming up, so we go ahead and evolve him into a Combuskin. Now that we've done all the preparation that we possibly can, we go ahead and challenge Whitney and her normal types. So pray for me. She leads with Clefairy as I send out Combuskin, and on the first turn we get off a Focus Energy as she just uses Mimic. We then use a double kick to one-hit KO that thing, and the crit was just Salt on the Wound. She then sends out Milk Tank that immediately uses Attract as we stay immobilized. She then uses a Stomp that brings me down to over half as we get a crit on double kick to bring her to the red. Whitney then uses a Super Potion as we break through Infatuation for a second time and then bring her to half with the double kick. Milk Tank then uses Stomp to bring me to a quarter, but I put a Citrus Berry on Combuskin to bring him back above. Then my Sigma of a Combuskin breaks through Attract for a third time and finishes that horrid thing off with one more double kick. I genuinely cannot believe this battle didn't give me more trouble than it did, because this gym used to bring me to tears when I was a kid. I'm glad Whitney is taking it well. Now that we have completed that task, we can make it to Route 37 where we can catch ourselves a Growlithe, and he has the Intimidate ability, which is going to be crucial for this run. Not only that, if we go to the bottom of the Burn Tower, we can net us none other than a Magmar with a Flame Body ability. We can also head back to Goldenrod where we can talk to Bill that's just handing out free EVs, so we just yoink one and we set out on a hunt for a Firestone. Now in Pokemon Heart Gold, there are two different ways to get a Firestone. You can either wait for Picnic or Gina to call you, or you can do it the fun way and go to the Pokeathlon. Basically what you see here is a fun series of minigames that you can play in order to get battle points to obtain a Firestone. And after getting to 2500 BP, and we did it on a Friday, we can finally get a Firestone to round out our full team of 6. This will now full send us into the 4th gym, and I think I have a solid plan for Morty. He sends out Ghastly as I lead with Victor, and on the first turn we outspeed and one-hit KO that thing with Feint Attack. Now up next is his Gengar, and if we don't play this right, we are going to lose a lot of Mons. A Shadow Ball hits me to half thanks to my Citrus Berry, as a Feint Attack does around the same thanks to his. Gengar then proceeds to miss a Hypnosis as we bring it to the red with a Feint Attack, so after Morty uses his Super Potion, we are able to take that thing out with 2 consecutive Feint Attacks. After that, his 2 Haunters weren't any trouble as we KO both of them with 2 more Feint Attacks for the win and the 4th gym badge. Now, almost immediately after that battle, we have a fight with Chuck, the 5th gym leader, and considering his Poliwrath has Surf, this could get ugly very quickly. He starts the battle with his Primeape as I lead with Azar. I really just wanted to get off a few Intimidates on him to lower his attacks, so I alternate between Ben and Azar for a few turns until we switch into Blaze. Now at this point, Primeape is at like +6 evasion, so we miss Fire Blast, but on the next turn, he does miss Rock Slide. And then Blaze just decides his pronouns are he/him, one-hit KOing that thing with a Fire Blast through all the evasion. Now here is his biggest threat, Poliwrath. I use Swift to chip him for a little bit, and then he goes for a Surf, bringing me down to half thanks to my Oranberry. I can't stay in, so I switch into Ben that has to tank a Body Slam on the switch. My life then flashes before my eyes as I see him powering up Focus Punch, and I use Sand Attack. And because of that, Ben gets pummeled into the nether with 1 Focus Punch. And this sucks because this was his debut battle. I then switch into Victor, and on the next turn, he starts powering up Focus Punch again, but I use Confuse Ray, and he stays confused. He just keeps using Focus Punch for some reason as I start whittling him down with Fire Punches into the yellow. I then use Fire Punch once more as he lands a Hypnosis, putting me to sleep. This is not good. I just watch as Poliwrath lands a Focus Punch, taking out... That's right, not only did Victor survive on 2 HP, but we got off a burn due to Flame Body. This is huge, so I switch into Ponytail on Chuck's Hyper Potion turn. I outspeed with a Fire Blast that gets a crit, bringing him to half as he uses a Body Slam for a quarter damage, but it paralyzes me. He then outspeeds and uses Surf that ends up missing, so we hit him with a Fire Blast, and that plus burn damage leaves him at 1 HP. At this point, I think I got this in the bag, so I switch into Combuskin until I see that Chuck has a second Hyper Potion. He does miss Hypnosis, leading me to do a little bit of chip with Peck and Burn, but then on the next turn, he hits the Hypnosis. I need to stall a little bit more with burn damage, but if he gets a crit here, we are screwed. But fortunately, that doesn't happen, and Combuskin survives on around half. I then switch into Azar, and after neutralizing him more with Intimidate, a Reversal and a Fire Fang are enough for us to take home the 5th gym badge. Now that we have lost our beloved Ben, we need a new encounter, and fortunately we have our last Pokewalker encounter, a Houndour. With this thing's dark typing, y'all already know he will be a great addition to the team. And all we need to do is level him up 1 time, and then he will evolve into a devilish Houndoom. We then break into Team Rocket's underground hideout, and honestly, I don't think beating down already tortured Voltorbs is really the best approach here. But y'all know Lance, he just hyper beamed a man less than 5 minutes ago, so what are you gonna do about it? That will segue us into Pryce, the Ice Gym leader, and honestly, his team is very equipped to handle ours. We both lead with Combustion and Seal, and on the first turn, I use Focus Energy as he sets up with Hail. I then use Bulk Up as he proceeds to miss an Icy Wind, so a double kick is enough to one-hit KO that thing. He next sends in Dugong, and he outspeeds with a resisted Aurora Beam as a double kick brings him to the red. Pryce then goes for a Hyper Potion as I go for a neutral peck, and then on the next turn he goes for an Aurora Beam that gets the attack drop, but we bring him back to the red with a double kick. He then proceeds to go for a rest, so 2 double kicks are enough to knock that thing out. Last up is Piloswine, so I switch into Victor to tank 1 Mud Bomb, and then after that, we secure the KO with 2 more Fire Punches, declaring us the winners and earning us our 6th gym badge. When I got to the 7th gym, I totally forgot to give Jasmine the medicine. Alright, Ampharos is looking better. Wait, what is happening? No! Now it is time for Jasmine and her steel types, and this was nothing less than a bloodbath. All I did was send in Blaze with the choice specs, and after a few specs lava plumes, we disintegrated her whole team, earning us our 7th gym badge. After that battle, the level cap has been raised to 41, so we are finally able to evolve Combustion into a beastly Blaziken. Not only that, we are able to evolve Blaze into a monstrous Typhlosion. Alright, now it is time to decide who looks the coolest next to you in the Team Rocket drip. Is it Typhlosion? Or maybe it's Growlithe? Nah, it's gotta be Houndoom. That looks sick. Magmar might be a close runner-up, but Blaziken takes the cake for sure. Comment down below who you think definitely won that. We then have a battle with Soul, but he is definitely much weaker to our team, considering that we have a couple of physical attackers on our team and his Pokemon are all physically weak. We also don't have any trouble with the Team Plasma heads, but this is where the run is about to take a huge left turn. Clair and her dragon team, or should I say her water team, was my biggest brainstorming session of any run I have ever done. I studied her team for 2 hours and cultivated this plan together, so let's just hope this all wasn't for nothing. She starts the battle with her beastly Gyarados as I lead with Blaze. Now this Gyarados only has special moves or Dragon Rage, so I switch Azar out there to tank a Dragon Rage. She then hits me down to half thanks to my Citrus Berry, and then I retaliate with a very weak Bite. Clair then hits me with one more down to 26 HP as we do more chip with Bite. Now all of this chip damage is a part of the plan because when I send out Houndoom, I need to make sure that we KO with a Thunder Fang. And after taking a Dragon Rage on the switch, we do just that. Now y'all are probably wondering how we are going to get through the Hydro Pumping Kingdra, but this was my best plan for that. She sends it out, and then Houndoom immediately outspeeds with a Sunny Day, and she lands the Hydro Pump, but because of Sunny Day's secondary effect to reduce water moves, we barely survive on 13 HP. Now, of course, I'm needing to switch, so I switch into Rapidash to tank the Hydro Pump on 58 HP after Citrus Berry. At this point, I'm just trying to stall out all of her power points on Hydro Pump, so I use Protect to waste 1. Now, using Protect twice in a row is a 50% chance, but I take it, and we get off another Protect, wasting another power point. I just use Headbutt, pretty much sacking Rapidash, but he survives on 6 HP in the red after a Dragon Pulse. Knowing that's my sign to switch, I get Blaze out there to tank a Dragon Pulse, and after getting that level up, we are able to hit that thing with a Choice Specs Hyper Beam to KO that monster for good. Up next is one of her 2 Dragonairs, and I stay in and get paralyzed by Thunder Wave. We then take an Aqua Tail on 28 HP, and then we stay paralyzed. I need to switch, so I get Victor that tanks an Aqua Tail on 38 HP and burns Dragonair, but her Shed Skin ability gets rid of the burn. If that burn didn't get shed off, we would have been able to survive one more Aqua Tail, but with one more desperate attempt to keep Victor with Confuse Ray, it still wasn't enough, and Victor goes down to one more Aqua Tail. Rest in peace, broski, but at least we are able to get Blaziken out there on a free switch. We go ahead and set up with Bulk Up as Dragonair uses a Thunder Wave, paralyzing me, and this would have sucked a lot more if I didn't attach a Cherry Berry to heal off the paralysis. We then use Double Kick, bringing it to what must be 1 HP as it breaks through through confusion, paralyzing me with Thunder Wave. Knowing my luck, we stay paralyzed on her Hyper Potion turn, but the luck turns around in our favor as she hurts herself in confusion, which gives us the edge to knock it out with one more double kick. Our last Pokemon is her second Dragonair, and it outspeeds with Dragon Pulse to bring me to 77 HP as we bring her to the red with another double kick. She then uses her last full restore, but we end up one-hit KOing that thing with a higher roll with double kicks, securing us our 8th and final gym badge. I honestly can't believe we made it through that with less deaths than we did, but that was truly insane. A well-deserved gym badge for sure. We immediately after go and talk to the Elder to prove that we are deserving of the 8th gym badge, and then after that we head straight into battling the Kimono girls. We honestly didn't have a hard time battling them, except the electric Kimono almost took out Rapidash with a Thunderbolt. Not even the Vaporeon gave us trouble, but all that's left from here is the Elite Four. This is it, our final team for the Elite Four. We have Houndoom with Sunny Day, Dark Pulse, Thunderfang, and Shadow Ball. We have Blaziken with Fire Punch, Double Kick, Earthquake, and Bulk Up. Typhlosion with Hyper Beam, Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and Focus Blast. And I actually went back to the move tutor after this and subbed out Focus Blast for Rollout, and y'all will see why later. We have Rapidash with Protect, Bounce, Flame Wheel, and Poison Jab. And last but not least, we have Growlithe with Crunch, Flamethrower, Dig, and Agility. And Growlithe is one level away from learning Flare Blitz, so I have the experience share on him so we can get that level up and finally evolve him. Up first in the Elite Four is Will, the Psychic member, and well, Choice Specs Dark Pulse absolutely obliterates everything on the field for an easy first dub. Let's get it. And now that Growlithe has learned Flare Blitz, we can finally use that Firestone to evolve him into a majestic Arcanine. This now leads us to Koga, the Poison Expert. He leads with Ariados as I send out Blaziken, and on the first turn, we one-hit KO that thing with a Fire Punch. Koga then sends in Crobat, so I switch into Typhlosion as Crobat sets up with the double team. If Crobat had a better moveset, this definitely would have been way scarier, but he just hits me with a few wing attacks as a Fire Blast nukes that thing to a quarter. He then hits me to 34 HP with one more wing attack, but a Flamethrower seals the deal. His Fortress is up, but can't take the heat from a Flamethrower, so he goes down as well. His Muck is up next, so I switch into Rapidash to tank the Gunk Shot, but it misses. I then use Flame Wheel to bring him to above half as he sets up his evasion with Minimize. I then proceed to miss my next Flame Wheel as he gets off a Screech, lowering my defense. At this point, he's getting too much recovery from Black Sludge, so I switch into Blaziken to tank a Gunk Shot on 50 HP. Unfortunately, I outspeed, so an Earthquake knocks that thing out for the one-hit KO. His last and final Pokemon is Venomoth, and this thing gets absolutely cooked by a Fire Punch straight to the face to earn us our second Elite Four dub. Up next is Bruno, the Fighting Expert, and honestly, we beat him almost as bad as Will. I threw the Choice Specs on Typhlosion to absolutely destroy every single member on his team except one. That would be Hitmonchan, and honestly, I forgot to restore Blaze's power points before the battle. That was totally my fault, my bad, fellas. But it was an easy switch into Arcanine that can easily clean up the battle with one more Flare Blitz. Let's get it. This leads us to the final Elite Four member, Karen, and her Dark types. She leads with Umbreon as I send out Blaziken, and on the first two turns, we both set up with Bulk Up and Double Team. But even after double teaming twice, we are still able to hit her through evasion and one-hit KO it with Double Kick. Her Murkrow is up next, but Murkrow is just a terrible Pokemon, so she just goes down to one Fire Punch as well. Her Gengar is up and just hits us to half with a Focus Blast as we one-hit KO that thing with a Fire Punch. The same story happened to her Vileplume, and then her Houndoom merely gets off a Nasty Plot as we straight up drop kick that thing with the Double Kick for the one-hit KO. We handled the Elite Four very well, but our last Pokemon battle with Champion Lance could make or break this run. Lance's team is like Clair's on steroids. It's absolutely stacked with pretty much everything that resists fire types. This team in specific took so much time to plan around, and hopefully it was all worthwhile. But let's do it. Our trials and tribulations have led us to this point, so let's do battle with the only thing standing in the way of us and glory, and that would be the champion, Lance. Lance starts the battle with Gyarados as I lead with Houndoom. I really am banking on a crit with Thunderfang, but we don't get it and Houndoom goes down to a waterfall. I then just send out Arcanine with Intimidate, and the strat here is just to switch around until I get Gyarados to -4 attack with Intimidate, but he makes that very easy by just going for Flail every other turn. Honestly, I don't know what the AI was thinking helping us out by flailing, but then he hits Rapidash to half with a Waterfall, so I get one more switch into Arcanine, and now it's time to activate my plan. I switch Typhlosion into a Flail that does nothing, and then I taught him Defense Curl that we won in the Goldenrod lottery, so we can use just that as he hits us with a very weak Flail. I then hit him with a rollout that brings him to a quarter as he hits me for not much with Waterfall, but on our next rollout, we're able to take him out. Up next is his Aerodactyl, a speedy threat, and I hope we can just survive one Rock Slide, and we do, just on 18 HP, and we connect our rollout for the one-hit KO. Is one of 3 Dragonites are up next, and we somehow outspeed and connect with a 4th rollout for the one-hit KO. We somehow make it to his 2nd and strongest Dragonite that we can easily take care of with our 5th and final rollout for the one-hit KO. Now, honestly, I did not foresee us getting this far, let alone hit every single rollout, but we have a plan for the plan. I switch Blaziken into a Dragon Rush that we survive on over half thanks to Citrus Berry, and then fortunately we dodge a Dragon Rush on the next turn so we can get off a Rock Tomb, lowering Dragonite's speed. I then switch into Arcanine, lowering Dragonite's attack as it also proceeds to miss a Dragon Rush. Now, Arcanine can weirdly learn Dragon Pulse, and with Specs it almost takes out Dragonite, and then the worst happens, we get paralyzed by Thunder Wave. Lance then uses a full restore, and of course, we stay paralyzed. Then on the next turn, he slams us to 72 HP with Dragon Rush as we stay paralyzed again. The luck finally turns around though as he finally misses a Dragon Rush, and then we slam him with a Dragon Pulse to a quarter. Dragonite then hits a Dragon Rush, bringing me to 18 HP in the red, but we can finally KO that thing with a final Dragon Pulse. His final Pokemon is Charizard, and things are not looking too hot for my team considering how much damage we have taken up until this point. I know I need a free switch, so Arcanine goes down to a final Shadow Claw. Rest in peace, brother. This does give us a pivot into Rapidash, and we can outspeed with a Poison Jab for a little bit of chip as he hits us to 10 HP with Air Slash. I then use Protect, and then on the next turn, I use Poison Jab that actually gets the poison, but not only that, Charizard uses Fire Fang, supercharging my fire moves. I use Flame Wheel, thinking I see the KO, but to no avail, and then Rapidash goes down to a Dragon Claw. Rest in peace. I am down to my last 2 Pokemon, so I just send out Blaziken. Lance goes for a full restore, and I miss Rock Tomb. This not only means Charizard outspeeds, but can also get the KO on Blaziken with Air Slash. With my odds stacked against me, and I send out my final Gambit, Blaze. We do outspeed with the rollout, but it wasn't enough, and Charizard takes out. That's right, Blaze does it, surviving on 5 HP and connecting with the 2nd rollout, securing us the victory over the whole Pokemon League. What a run. That was absolutely insane, and so much planning went into this one, and I'm kind of sad we didn't make it to Kanto, but I am happy with the progress we made. If you made it this far in the video, drop a like, and if you want to see more painful content like this, drop a sub. I love all of my viewers, so if you want to see a specific run done, comment down below. But this, my friends, was a Pokemon Heart Gold Fire-type Hardcore Nuzlocke, and I hope to see you in my next run.